Hi, I'm Mike Olson, and this video is going to be me talking about my piece, Novo. This is a piece that was commissioned by Lynn Feldman back in 2013, and it's an electro-acoustic piece. It has a lot of percussion in it, and it also has two other instruments, which has a Hammond organ and a Moog modular synthesizer. And it was created in the computer using my fragment-based composition technique, where I record many elements, all kinds of discrete musical gestures and fragments, and then I construct the piece later in the computer. When Lynn had me make this piece, it was for a piece of animation she was doing about the development of the human genome.
De novo mutations are changes in our genome that may allow us to adapt to new environments. My work is based on this current scientific literature and conversations with scientists from the fields of paleogenomics and molecular anthropology.
And she's gotten to be a very popular person in the science world because she's an artist who's very interested in science. And so she's been very fortunate. I did this music, but she kind of got swept off by the science community with multiple fellowships and grants, and she's traveling around the world now doing this work that she does. Lynn and I are old friends. We met a long time ago. We worked on a variety of other projects, and it's always a pleasure to work with her. And I love her art, and I'm so glad I was able to do something in collaboration with her, in connection with her art. And actually, she had some very specific input for me. She wanted to let me go and let me do my thing, but she did have a vision in mind. Often when I do work with animation, I'll do the music after I see the animation. I'll kind of work against the image. In this case, she wanted to make the image after the music was done, but of course she had some ideas about what she wanted, so she gave me just some real general parameters about this idea of the evolution, something evolving and changing over time. And she wanted it to get to at some point in the piece for it to suddenly fall way back to the very sparse, more undeveloped material that I'm going to use in the opening, and then to redevelop. That had to do with something she had in mind for what she wanted to do with the animation. So you'll hear that in the music, where it gets to a point and it falls back off. Also, I think my choice of using a lot of percussion that's also influenced by just her sort of impressions or feelings about what she wanted to have, sort of this elemental quality, and there's some of that quality in the music, particularly the beginning, where it's really sparse and it's just these percussion elements that are really separated and so forth. The two musicians I worked with on this project are Heather Behringer and Dave King, both percussionists. Heather is famous for contemporary concert music, percussion sort of stuff. She's one of the members of Zeitgeist, contemporary concert music ensemble, and stellar group, and she's really, really good. and a friend I've worked with a lot before, and I really like Heather.
What's so interesting is to come in and create these sounds, and they're one thing when you're making them, but Mike, you take them, and then sometimes I don't know if it's myself or it's another musician, or all of that gets transformed into something that it was not before.
Dave King, we've met kind of on and off a few times over the years. He used to be in Happy Apple, and I met him way back then. He's in all these other groups now. He's a big superstar, travels all around the world, and an absolutely phenomenal drummer, like a kit drummer. And I finally got to work with him on this project. I kind of had crossed paths with him over the years, and I never got a chance to work with him. I'm so glad I got to work with him on this. He gave me a bunch of drumming to work with. I don't know, maybe I can use some of it in some other project. He gave me so much nice stuff. But one thing that's interesting about this piece for me is I'm using a Hammond A100 organ for this piece, and I only had this thing for like a month and it never got out of the garage. It was sitting out in the garage. Someone called me and said, we know someone who has, if you want this organ, you got to come and get it right now. They've moved out, new owners are coming in, there's an organ sitting here, you can have it for $100. So I said, Hammond organ, I'll go. Went out, we got the thing, brought it back, and it's an A100, which is, for those of you who know Hammond organs, it's a B3. It's all the same complete sound generating mechanism inside. The whole guts assembly is the same as the B3, is my understanding, but it's in a different kind of a cabinet that has speakers built into it, and it does not support, or doesn't conventionally support Leslie speaker. And there was not one with this at all. So I had this thing for like a month, and then I sold it right away on Craigslist. I thought, well, $100, I'll just flip it. Where am I going to put it? I didn't think I wanted it. I'll tell you, I fell in love with that thing. Working on it, I kind of was sad to see it go, but I was thinking, well, I should really have a B3. I don't know if I want this thing, but I just loved the sound of it. But I had to record it in the garage, and it was summer, and it was hot, and I had to close the garage door, trying to isolate a little bit. And I put a bunch of big old mattresses in front of the door, and I had some work lights in there, and it was an oven. But I got some really nice sounds out of the organ, and this is a nice piece to show it. It's doing really sort of sustained chords that are changing and shifting with some slides and some other things, but it's not doing a lot of melodic activity. And the other instrument that I'm using in this piece is my Moog Model 12 modular synthesizer. It is a vintage instrument that was fully restored by Kevin Leitner, the late Kevin Leitner, who did a great job on the restoration. It is beautiful sounding. Again, an instrument that I just I find incomparable, the old vintage Moog modular sound. It is here. You will hear it in this piece. And all of this material that was used in the piece was recorded, again, as separate, discrete elements, gestures, performances, elements, general, and not with and in a situation where you're not hearing any of the other ones. So if Dave King didn't have any idea what I was going to be doing, Heather, I'm talking to her, but she doesn't really know. I said, I need things like this, and I'm getting stuff from her, but she doesn't know. And when I recorded the Hammond stuff, I only had that organ for a month, and it's before this piece was getting worked on. I said, I was going to record a bunch of things. So that had been actually sitting for a while. I recorded those elements, and then they were sitting. And the Moog stuff, it was the same way. I kind of recorded a bunch of it before I had a real clear vision of what I wanted to do with the piece. So I ended up with way too much, of course, and I had to edit it all down. But that's how it works with this fragment technique. I end up with a bunch of material, usually with some kind of a plan, and then it gets sculpted and shaped into the finished composition in the computer. And Novo is one of the projects on the 6 projects LP CD release on Novo recordings. I'm really glad it can be included in that. It fits very aesthetically nicely with the other pieces in that set. So that's some of what I can tell you about my piece, Novo. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me talk about it, and I hope you get a chance to pick up the record, 6 projects.